What's up, everybody?
Hey, what's up?
I got my buddy with me here, Mr. Bryson. We're going to talk some serious, real talk. And this episode is called The Pivot. And I'm going to let Bryson explain that here in just a little bit. But, guys, don't forget to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The website is almost up. I just talked to Bondi. She almost has it up, and everything's going to be amazing on conservativepoppy.net. And I don't know what else to say, but
it sounds like exciting stuff.
Oh, it does. But let me go ahead and hit this bumper for everybody so we can get shit started.
Right.
Mi gente, from Bayamón, Puerto Rico, via Dallas, Texas, it's your boy, the Conservative Poppy.
Oh my God!
Round
this is
of applause.
great.
Let's go.
Oh no, it's a round of applause for you though.
Oh,
it's for you. It's for you because
not for me, bro.
No, it's completely for you because this is Bryson Rayford. He does not only my taxes.
What?
Yeah, he doesn't only do my taxes.
I don't.
You do.
I do.
You do.
I do.
You've done it twice, 2 years in a row.
Oh, that was you.
That was me.
All right.
It was about 100 pounds ago.
Man, yo, you look great, bro.
Thank you,
look
man.
Great.
Thank you.
Hugged you on, put my whole arms around you. I can't believe it.
Oh God, dude, imagine. So, I wanted to bring Bryson on to talk about a couple of issues. One, he's one of my favorite people in the world. Honestly,
Man.
He was an usher at my wedding.
Hey,
he's getting married.
Yeah,
he's getting married.
Yeah.
And, before we start, Bryson, thank you much for coming on to the Conservative Poppy podcast.
Man,
and
thanks for having me, bro.
Thank you for believing in the dream.
Oh, amazing.
Dude, so tell them about you. Tell the Conservative Poppy audience about you, man.
Okay, the Conservative Poppy, the audience, all right? I don't even really know how to say all that, but, you know, about me, I've done taxes. I've done, like, different kind of financial work. I've done financial peace. Actually, one of my greatest friends here was my mentor through financial peace, going through the Dave Ramsey books and, you know, becoming an avid reader, just learning all kind of things about the financial world. So that's just me in a nutshell. I've been doing taxes for almost 7 years now. So we're well versed in the tax business. We initially grew a Liberty Tax franchise, and then we were able to grow into our own individual, our own independent tax with Tax Time Professionals. You can check us out on Facebook at Facebook.com/Tax Time Pros, or go to our website at taxtimeprofessionals.com and schedule your appointment or give us a call at 972-399-9564. Shameless. I'm not ashamed of that simple plug.
Don't be shameless, dude. This is why we bring you on to these things, bro. To give you shameless plugs. That's all we're all about right now.
I'm not ashamed of that at all.
So before we get into any tax talk,
yeah, right.
We gotta give honor where honor is due. We come from the same fraternity and alliance.
Yes, sir.
So we have to say it. You know, it's Martin Luther King's birthday was yesterday.
The king,
the man, the revolutionary, the peace activist, the
prophet.
Dude, for real,
the prophet.
And it made me think, right? It's been, almost 50 years since the man died. And he revolutionized the world throughout his life.
Right.
Gone way too soon. Mm-hmm. And you, as a magnificent black man that you are.
I am glorious.
You are glorious. You are glorious. And you also have dreadlocks like King Solomon.
Yes.
People need to understand.
They do need to understand the strength.
The strength.
Man, bro, you honor me so much.
No, seriously. Without, there's so much, people are so afraid to address the topic of race.
Exactly.
And me and you being minorities, I'm a Hispanic, you're black. What is... No, he's Dominican. Stop playing.
Depends on who you're talking to.
In your opinion, what is a state of race in 2018?
The state of race in 2018, I feel that we're so close, but we're still so far. Like and I say that with this just because, like, you notice how people seem to use racism to be a distraction more than than being an awareness piece. Like, you look at today's president, he uses racial slurs and racial epithets to actually distract from the actual point or actually his divisive remarks of what he's actually doing behind the scenes. And so I see how social media, and not just social media, but a lot of media outlets are using those tactics to distract the public and oversensitize the racial culture. Like, we don't shy away from the fact of diversity. We embrace diversity. We don't shy away from our past. We embrace our past, and we look to improve our future. So to sit here and say racism is not alive is a lie, and they should stop living this lie. All right? Now, to sit here and say everyone's a racist and out to get you is another lie, and they need to stop living that lie. Now, you have to find a balance of okay, a duck is a duck, right?
Yeah.
If it quacks and it goes on water and it looks like a duck, it's a duck. Okay, cool. Don't turn around and say that this duck is because it's not wearing a tuxedo, and I know that for a fact. All right?
That's amazing. That I don't know if I can say anything better than that. At least from my point of view, as a Latino male in the United States, there's two sides of this camp. There's, the uneducated, opinion of you don't belong here.
Right.
And then there's the educated opinion of you do belong here and you should be taking part of the American dream.
Right.
And we need to fix the problem, right?
Right.
So I understand both sides, and it's one of those issues that make me different than most conservatives because I understand the need of all these people, not only in the black community, but in the Hispanic community, that there are issues that need to be addressed.
Right.
And we can't be afraid to have those conversations. But we need to be honest. We need to be honest about it.
Right.
We can't come to the table and just argue without listening to each other. It's okay if we start off arguing.
Right.
But when do we stop arguing and start listening?
Right.
And I think that's what Martin Luther King's legacy truly is. It's okay to argue, but when do we stop arguing and start listening?
I can see that. I can see where you're saying that, but a decision has always have to be made, right?
Yes. Which
is why you have always uneven numbers, right? So like if you're in a group of 3, you're in a group of 5, you're in a group of 7, that uneven number is a tying vote because a decision must be made.
Yeah.
Right? In our leadership, in alliance that we grew out of, right? We may be at odds with each other behind closed doors, but when we walk out of that door, we're going to be in unison.
One united force.
One united force. Black, white, doesn't matter, indifferent, but a decision needs to be made. A stance must be taken. Correct?
Amen.
So now, going into the racial epithets that we're facing and the racial topics that we're facing today, like a stance has to be taken. Like, we're not saying, hey, you versus me versus you. We're talking about, okay, as a collective group, this is what I'm saying is how I feel is being done to me. This is the oppression of systematic injustice, and it seems to only affect a particular group, which happens to be either Latino or African American. How do we fix that?
That's the conversations that need to be had.
Exactly.
And there's no easy answers. There never is.
Never
is.
Never.
Not even with taxes, which we're about to talk about here in a little bit.
No.
But you bring it up. We need to come out, unite, stop trying to put each other under labels, and truly, hold hands.
Right.
Content of character.
Right.
MLK's dream.
Right.
And live that.
And on the segue to taxes.
Oh, the segue.
On the segue to taxes. And this all ties in together, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. there have been taxes since the beginning of time. When King Pharaoh,
Hold on. What did Jesus say to the Pharisees? Give Caesar's what's Caesar's.
Give Caesar's what's Caesar's. Give me what's ours. What's the kingdom of God's. And that and you've been taxed since the beginning of time. That's BC, AD, whatever you want to slice it. Like, but before there were kings, there were pharaohs. When there was pharaohs, there was the tax guy. All right, whoever owned the land asked for rations to continue to survey the land. Right.
Of course.
So there's all kind of tax laws and tax loopholes and manipulations and pull from ages and ages of tax laws. Now, when we look at race and we look at the new rules and we look at the new ideas of how to be diverse or how to be inclusive of each other.
Yeah.
These blueprints are different. Like there's nowhere in history where there's never been a non-segregated race or a non-segregated group of people.
Okay.
There's never been that. There's always been like, okay, there's those over there on the other side of the tracks. There's those dark people over there. There's the light people over here. Even the Indian nations of America were always different, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people like what's funny to me is a lot of people like to talk about like, okay, well, America stole the nation, the country from the nation of Indians.
Okay.
And then, a lot of conservatives, not like such as yourself, but your different counterparts.
There's a lot of conservatives that want to. I think it's not just the right; it's also the left. They want to use history and don't tell the whole story.
Exactly. Like if you're gonna tell parts of the history,
dude,
tell it all.
Oh, thank you.
Tell it all.
Please.
Like the ugly. Tell all the ugly truth.
And I've spoken about this, right? Especially when it comes to historical events. Let it be Columbus Day, which I've done an episode on. Let it be taxes. Let it be racial issues. Let it be military. We want to talk about the Civil War, for example. Cool. Let's do it. But let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
Because the only way we're going to learn from history is learning every side of history.
Right.
Because for example, late last year or mid-time last year, May-ish, June-ish, Charlottesville and the whole thing that happened. Everybody was talking about, the conservative monuments and the Confederate monuments and all of this. I'm like, cool. All right, let's talk about this. Should they stay? Maybe. Depends on the situation. It should be left up to the city and the people in the city. But should people know about them? Definitely. So we don't repeat what happened in those cities, or we don't repeat what happened in those wars, so we don't repeat what happened to those people.
Right.
We need to learn every history. For example, the March to the Ocean made by General Sherman. People forget how many millions of people were killed.
Exactly. In
that march alone by a Union general. He killed innocent people, not only blacks. He killed whites and he killed natives. Mm-hmm. And so if we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about every ugly detail. Every ugly detail. People want to talk about, for example, another example, talk about Columbus. Okay, cool. The dude discovered, quote unquote, discovered, and I use air quotes here. Mm-hmm. He discovered the new world, but nobody wants to tell you how flawed of a leader he was, how when he left men behind, they pillaged and raped all the native men and women of the islands, right? And then he took back natives, the Taino Indians that lived on those islands, took them back to Europe and displayed them like if they were gold. It's cool to know about the guy, but don't sugarcoat history. Tell it like it is.
And see, here's my problem with that, right? Do you tell the 5-year-old? Do you tell the elementary students? Like, do you tell them like at what stage do you introduce that ugly truth to the nation, right?
Here's the thing, right? It's I don't know if you tell the 5-year-old, because at 5-year-old you should still be thinking about ABCs and learning how to read and learning your maps. But when you start learning history, those social studies and issues, and you come to a day that it's a federal holiday, I'm sorry, it's not only it's the school system's responsibility to tell the whole story,
right?
Not just tell them about the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria,
right?
But the whole fucking story,
right?
Because it's there's a whole race of people that don't exist anymore because of what was started by Christopher Columbus,
right?
And I can say this because it's part of my island and part of the Cuban community and part of the Dominican community. The Taino Indians do not exist today,
right?
At all,
right?
So we're going to talk about that issue. We need to understand that while Christopher Columbus himself did not kill millions, but he opened that can of worms,
right?
And that's something people need to understand. And that's just one example, right?
Right.
Just like the slave trade opened up a can of worms here in the United States that led to 200 years of oppression and even to some extent to today.
Right.
We have to be able to talk about the ugly parts and understand that there are ugly parts to this.
There was.
And some people might even say till today. Mm-hmm. You go to Detroit, go to Chicago.
Man, look.
Go to parts of South Dallas.
Yeah, we can go to South. We can go to Dallas. We can go over here, like down off by the state park. We can. Like, the problem of it is it's communal. Like, a lot of it is educating ourselves within our own community and knowing our history. Like, a lot of people don't even know that Oak Cliff, which is now predominantly black, was predominantly white. And then the black people that actually moved there were actually entrepreneurs and high upper middle class citizens.
That's the same story with Cleveland, same story with Detroit, same story with Watts, California, same story with parts of New York, and same story with a lot of parts where I live from, Lakeland, Florida. And I was reading a book by, I don't know if you know, he's a radio personality called Larry Elder. Yeah. He wrote a book on how the black community has been brainwashed into becoming almost a second slavery. Now, I don't know how much of this is true. I just know what the references he stated in the book, and one of the statistics that he stated in the book that male leadership in a black family, and you can tell me if this is true or not, and I'm going to have you here because you're more into this than I am. I can tell you that I grew up in a 2-parent household, so I can't really speak to this. Right. The decline of a male figure in the black home is directly correlated to the poverty in the inner city. How much do you believe that correlates?
I believe that correlates to a lot of it. Just basically on if you take away the sole provider of a family, that family is going to suffer, right? Yeah. So once you captivate, when almost 65% of your race of males is locked away in the prison system.
Say it again.
So you're taking away the 65% of the 80% of breadwinners in the black home, right? And then the women are having to go out and they're having to work and they're having to either hold down 2 jobs and they're having to take care of the kids, right? And then they get dependent upon a system.
Amen.
That allows them to either stay at the bottom with no kind of regards for political or any
dreams
kind
of advancing.
Yeah, or economic value.
Kind of like it happens in the Latino community, right? Where all you think about is tomorrow, not 10 years from now.
Exactly.
So I think it happens.
How can you plan for tomorrow if you're trying to eat today?
Thank you. Right. So, and what he goes up on, and I will post this on my Facebook feed when I remember the name of the book, and it's somewhere in my library. So I don't want to leave right now while we're talking, but that also correlates to crime rates, because if there's no male leadership to teach men, because we know this as part of Alliance, right?
Right.
We need male leadership to teach men how to be men.
Right.
Right? If you have no male leadership to teach men how to be men, how can you expect boys to be men? Right? So there's a lot more to the problems in the minority community than just lack of money.
Right.
It's lack of fathers, lack of
leadership.
Lack of leadership. A lot of that is, it's very unpopular to say in the conservative circles, but some of it is institutional. It's not all of it, but it's some of it, right? You could say, well, the dad stopped caring. Yeah, but somewhere along the line, they were prosecuted in some sort of way, especially in the South. Because numbers show that in the South, there were more Republican voters in the black community than there were in the white community.
Right.
From the year 1920 to 1960.
Right.
Over 50% of black communities voted Republican, which meant they voted for low taxes. They voted for conservative home values. And what I mean conservative home values is what we believe in the two-parent household, marriage, man and a woman's, those kinds of statistics.
And see, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people don't know what conservative means for you. When you say conservative, Poppy, people are like, okay.
He's just another Latino that sold out to the white man.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't understand that because they don't know you. Like, they don't know the heart of you, right?
Oh, of course.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, when people ask, okay, conservative Poppy, what does that mean? It means I have family values that are the core of my upbringing. Like conservative means like I don't just jump out on the boat unless I know what we're gonna do, and we're gonna make an impact, not just for an image.
No, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe in my First Amendment right. I believe in my Second Amendment right, which I think it's every American's responsibility to believe in those core two.
As you should.
As you should. I mean, if you want to protect your first, you better believe in the second.
Exactly.
That's what I say.
Exactly.
But on top of that, for people who, if this is your first episode listening, as far as for me, I'm a son of a military veteran. So I've seen when you take away color, what a community can really become. When
you set the mind to purpose, color doesn't matter. When
you have a mission to accomplish. When your parents, for example, me being an Air Force brat, when your parents or your dad and everybody else's dad around the place, they all go off to war, they all go off onto assignment, the moms, no matter what color, band together.
Right.
Because there's only one way to get through this period in time, and it's to get together. And if it means Susie from down the street is taking care of Rick's kids, guess what? That's what's happening.
Right.
Or if Juanita from next door is taking care of Yolanda's kids, that's happening too.
Right.
It doesn't matter because we all, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is we're all Americans.
Right.
And we should be a community.
Right.
And if we have to go, I'm saying this live, if we have to go to a part 2, because this is an awesome conversation, we will go to a part 2 of this show because this is an awesome point here.
Hey, man, I love being here. This is good stuff right here.
Oh, yeah. And we have to be able to really address that. And what Alliance, as far as an adult, for me, really reinforced what I believe in my personal life. It's color, at the end of the day, is just, you can't control pigmentation in your skin.
You can't.
You can't. I mean,
you can try and do Michael Jackson, but I mean,
look what happened to him.
He went through extensive, doctors to do that. You got to have that kind of money. You got to have Michael's money. You know what I mean?
I don't have Michael's money.
I don't have Michael's money either.
I mean,
so I do all right, but
we do okay.
You know what I'm saying?
We do okay, but all that matters is just me, you sitting down, or sitting down with whoever, and talking, and guess what? At least for me, and Carlos Mencia had a bit about this years ago. I don't know if you remember this bit, and if he
agitates me. I'm gonna be honest.
He does agitate me.
He agitates me to the core. It's
look, he did steal a lot of people's bits. We're gonna be honest about that, and Joe Rogan talks about that on his podcast a lot.
Yeah.
But he did have a bit about race years ago. He talked about in America we're like the Wonder Twins. Right? We fight amongst each other, but when it matters, we go Blackie, Whitey, and Brownie. Wonder Twins power, activate, and we go for it together.
Right.
And I thought that bit alone kind of summed up America in a nutshell. We fight amongst each other, but hey, you attack New York, watch what happens, bro.
Exactly.
Watch what happens.
Exactly.
But I don't want to stay stuck on one issue all night.
Right. But, like, here's the thing. Because it's going to segue into why we're here.
Yeah.
The pivot, you know?
The pivot. You know what? Whenever you come back on, I'm going to call all of these the pivot. Every time Bryson Rayford's on the podcast, we're calling these the pivot.
The pivot, man. Because, like, you know what? We keep our foot down and keeping it anchored. And sometimes we got to change direction for us to get to the main goal. So, you know what? That's the pivot.
So, yeah. So, we're going to pivot on to the segue. And
right.
it's what I brought you on here for.
Oh, hey.
The tax law got passed.
Oh, God.
There are good things. There are bad things. There are things I hate. There are things I love, to use the Ben Shapiro saying. Okay, let's start with our dessert first. What are the good things about this?
Man.
Don't sound so negative.
I'm not, because here's the thing. Like, your withholding has gotten lower, right? Like, your tax withholding has gotten lower.
So you're bringing more home.
Supposedly. You're supposedly bringing more home, right?
Okay.
But if you don't fit in a certain bracket, you still only see pennies on a dollar.
Okay.
Like, if you fit in, like, an employer bracket, you're seeing millions on a dollar, okay. Right? So, it helps in regards to, okay, the new withholding standards for 2018, not affecting 2017.
No, that's still under the Obama era.
Yeah, that's still done. So, like, if you go in to file your taxes for 2017, they'll go in and say, oh, well, I was told I can use this. No. That doesn't apply to 2018
no,
taxes. So.
Exactly. So that's the first one. So this year, whatever you file, you're getting old rates. You're not getting new rates. That's going to be for 2019 tax year. You're going to be filing under the Trump era taxes.
Correct.
Okay, so for the regular person, that makes between $40,000 to $70,000.
Right.
What does that mean to them?
So what it means to them is that they're going to see that, okay, let me pull up.
He got notes, everybody. He has notes.
I gotta have notes, man, because, you know, sometimes, like, I can't just get out here, put out some mess, and they were like, you don't know what are you talking about. You know, like, you got the trolls, it'll be like,
even if you're 100% correct, there's gonna be trolls out there saying he's a liar. Trump cut my taxes. I'm making more money, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. He got he looks like he won at least the battle, right? He got the political win. But here's what I was thinking the whole time: it's what does that mean to us, to people? So I bring you in.
Okay, so what that means to us as the people, right? So what he did was now the withholding is going to be lower, right?
Okay.
They're not going to take as much out of your paycheck on your day-to-day. If you get paid bi-weekly, you get paid monthly, annually. They're not going to take as much from your check like it used to. So, like, what he did was reverse, like, Obama's tax raise to where, okay, now from that, I can't even remember the percentage. I'm sorry. So say like you were paying an additional $7, you're going to get that $7 back into your paycheck, not on your taxes, into your paycheck. So when they were taking like $27, they're now only going to take $20.
Okay.
Right? Going forward on your payroll.
So you see more take home pay paycheck to paycheck.
Correct.
Compared to getting a big lump sum at the end of the year.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Nice. And I like to tell my clients this. I'd rather have my money up front than to say, here you go, government, take my money, use it, and then maybe if they're nice enough to me and I smile, they'll give me a refund.
It's like getting look, I'm gonna get a little nasty here. So it's like giving a girl giving you a bad hand job. Like if she gets it just wet enough, you might get something back, but not really.
I don't know about all that.
But hey, that's what it is.
Well,
at least that's how it feels when you're doing your taxes. Sometimes it's like, well, the government's just saying you're not getting shit, but $1,000 when you paid, $9,000-$10,000 throughout the year.
Benjamin Franklin said it best. He said there's a honest man and then there's a liar. They're all liars when it comes to taxes.
Oh man!
And it was funny because it's true. Because I kid you not, I get so many clients who are like, is that all I can get for my tax? I'm like, well, I'm trying to keep you from being audited. So let's not do that.
Well, and shameless plug on you. And the cool thing about me, I've done taxes with him for about 3 years now. He's been really honest about what I do. He's told me, keep your receipts, tell me your life, tell me what I can do. So when you use Bryson, even if you do it remotely, right?
Right.
He's going to look out for your best interest. And to me, you can do taxes on TurboTax and fuck yourself over. Or you can talk to Bryson and his team and don't bullshit your way through it, but really concentrate on being honest and trying to get the best refund you can get, or pay the least amount you have to pay depending on your situation.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the last entity you want behind you is the IRS, because guess what? They're undefeated, bruh.
Right. And see, what I try to do in like, I'm not serving you to give best tax refund. I'm serving you to give you the best service. Like, if I get you $30,000 this year.
Yeah.
If the government circles back and asks you for that $30,000 back next year, one, I'm not liable for it. But two, you're mad at me for it. And three, I just put you and your family in a whole different predicament.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, because like your life changes year to year. So I'm gonna get you the most of your money.
For some people, month to month, and that's really, really messed up.
Yo, month to month is serious. Like Christmas presents. You got a car that you're looking for. I mean, hey, we can help you do that if you're getting a tax refund. If you owe the IRS, we can help you with that. I have a team that helps negotiate IRS garnishments and settlements.
That's awesome.
So I mean, like, I'm here to serve you.
Awesome.
Right? But I'm not free. So
just trust me, he's not free, guys. Trust me, he's not free. But back to the taxes. We went off on a little tangent there.
We do. We go off on tangents. We hang out too much.
No. So check this out. So we know that you're going to be bringing home more of your take-home pay.
Right.
All right. Now, what does that mean if you're a business owner?
What that means, if you're a business owner, you still have more deductions, and then your payroll team is the one that's going to really have to focus on that. As an employer, you don't even see like the taxes being taken out of like Johnny's check, right? Because that's his responsibility to pay his own taxes from his wages. So you're still getting the deductions as wages paid out.
Yeah.
But you're like, you yourself, as far as withholding, your payroll team handles that. Okay,
now I guess I didn't make my question clear enough. What about if you are the small business owner? You're the barber, you're the butcher, you're the podcaster, whatever, and you basically, you put up all this money this year, you paid your 1 or 2, 3 employees, and you're the payroll, you're the HR, you're the person. How does the new tax system work for you? I know that according to what I've read, they pretty much kept all the deductions.
Yep.
Right?
You still get all your deductions. Nothing is changed. Actually, you're getting a higher cent match. I think it's like 54 or 55 right now. 55 cents to the mile for your standard mileage. So wow. that went up. But other than that, everything else is pretty much the same.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we got through the pros. Mm-hmm. Cons. Give me all the cons on this tax bill.
Okay.
Give me the con. And I know you have a list. We talked about this on the phone. Okay. You have a list.
Yo. Okay. So here's the cons, right? All right. One, if you're a homeowner.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're a homeowner and you have a prepayment tax pay that say like you pay your property taxes in June, and your next installment on your property taxes isn't due until January 2018. If that whole lump sum of your property taxes is $10,000 and you've already paid $5,000, and your next installment you made January 1st, 2018, you pretty much just forfeited half of that prepayment that you were owed for your taxes going forward. Most homeowners file their taxes in March, right? Because that's when they get their 1099 for interest and for their mortgages, the interest payment and escrow and equity, right?
Yeah.
That's when the banks really send out all their reporting. So whenever they file that, they're going in with the idea and the mindset that I'm going to get my property tax, my full $10,000 that I paid in property taxes, back towards my deduction. No, you just gave up $5,000 because you didn't pay it in the 2017 before December 31st, 2017. So that right there in itself is like, that could be an expensive...
Depending on your home, depending on where you live.
That's an expensive loss, no matter how you slice it. If it's $2,000, $10,000, that like if you're living in a home where you only pay $2,000 in taxes, that lets you know usually what kind of income you're bringing in, right?
Yeah.
Because you have a lower housing income. Okay, cool. That still hurts you in the same regard. Now, if you make $10,000 a month or $10,000 a week, and you lose $10,000 out of your property taxes on your home, you're a little upset about it, but you're not hurting from it.
I mean, it's case by case basis, like always.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's not one. That's the same thing with healthcare. Like, not one size fits all, and you can still file your Affordable Care Act with 2017 taxes.
Okay. Now, I know that's another question a lot of people are gonna have, right?
Oh yeah.
Healthcare. There's still the looming deal in DC that they might change healthcare. How does the new tax system address healthcare and the deductions? I mean, I'm sure you have to be up to date on that too.
It's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same for 2017.
Okay.
Because they couldn't do away with it. They had to have a replacement for it.
Yeah.
And in a timely manner of having a replacement for what took Obama 8 years of his full term of working on a healthcare reform, he can't undo in just like the first year that he's in office.
Well, they could. There'd just be massive blowback.
No, they tried.
No, that's what I'm saying.
They tried.
They tried.
They tried. He couldn't do it.
And there was blowback.
They tried. They tried to get rid of Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, as it is correctly and politically called. A lot of people call Obamacare, and don't realize Affordable Care Act is Obamacare.
Okay, but Obamacare is just just like they did with Mitt Romney's plan up in Massachusetts. It was called Romney Care, or the Hillary Care plan back in the 90s was called Clinton Care or whatever. So it's just a nickname for it. Whatever, right?
It's a nickname, but it exudes different feelings. Like if you tell someone, hey, what do you think about Obamacare? A person who doesn't know that Affordable Care Act is Obamacare, be like, oh, I don't like it. I think it's a bad idea. But if you tell them, hey, what do you think about the Affordable Care Act? And they say, oh, I think that's good. It's doing great for the people.
Well, unless you're me that looks into the facts, I don't like the way they force-fed it onto people. I get it. Don't get me wrong. There are parts of the law that makes sense, but I don't like anything that has socialized attached to it.
Right.
I just don't. I'm a huge proponent of capitalism. I'm a huge proponent of of let people decide how they want to do things, right?
Right.
So when you subsidize anything for the few, the many pay. Let it be welfare, healthcare, food stamps. That's the way it is. Mm-hmm. I don't like that redistribution word of it. And that's the only...
Would you like it if they say communalize?
Not even. Not even.
Why not?
I mean,
why not? Because think about that. Think about that. Think about these neighborhoods that we're in. Like if you look at Dallas and DeSoto, and you look at Oak Cliff for example. Like Oak Cliff and DeSoto, Duncanville were all prominent neighborhoods. Now, when they stopped pumping money and federal funding into these neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods collapsed on themselves, they have to perform communal acts to revive and revitalize these neighborhoods. The people have to do that. But if the outside people do it, then it's called regentrification, and they're stealing people's homes.
That's true. I mean, okay, let me expand on my point again. Okay, here's what I'm trying to say. I've seen, look, Puerto Rico, and I'm going to use my island of Puerto Rico here, right? There's a lot of federal funding, a lot of state funding when it comes to the inner city in Puerto Rico. Now, when Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Maria hit, all of that went to shit. All right? And the people that are supposed to live in Puerto Rico and help provide that communal services, right? Figured out that, hey, I'm paying into this system and I'm contributing into this community, but I'm not benefiting from this. There are people who abuse the system,
right? Which
is the problem with socialized healthcare or socialized systems and socialized government, that there's never, on paper you can say, oh, but there's never been true socialistic style implementation of services or government or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, will there ever be? Because look at Cuba, there are people who, there is a select few that benefit, and yet 90% of Cubans are still living ridiculously below poverty level. They say, oh, the Cuban healthcare system is the best in the world, yet they haven't done any new advancements in Cuba.
So that goes back into a structural government, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is their structure? Who's putting these people in place? Because I mean, Fidel. He's the face of the revolution for so many years, and he's the face of that. He himself, in a quote to the UN, said that history will absolve me. I'm sorry, dude, you're dead, and nobody has absolved you of your murders or the fact that you have turned the Pearl of the Caribbean into the worst shithole, which we're going to talk about that too, into the worst shithole of the Caribbean. And that is a fact. And you can talk to any Cuban in Miami that just got here, and they'll tell you that too. Here's the funny part about that, though.
By the way, we got a minute left, and we're going to do a part 2 on this because obviously this is not this conversation is far from over. Right. So, guys, there will be a part 2 of the conversation called Pivot with The Pivot with Bryson Rayford here on Spreaker.com. You can also catch us on iTunes and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Be ready for part 2. Like I said, this is an awesome conversation, and this is probably gonna push me to go to a 3-hour platform instead of a 45-minute. But thank you guys for listening, and be on the lookout for part 2. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Conservative Papi. Catch us here in a little bit.
Awesome.